So let's take a look at some of the acquisitions and the velocity. They put somebody in charge, the Periscope co-founder, Kayvon Beykpour, who is going to be on this podcast soon, maybe next week or 2 weeks. He's Kayvz on Twitter. He's pretty awesome. He's the head of consumer products. And he joined in 2015 after they bought Periscope before it launched, which was a great product. And then he became the head of product in a June 2018 reorg by Jack. Periscope was officially sunset and shut down just on March 31st of this year. And like I said, Kayvon's coming on the podcast. But let's look at the product velocity here. They launched Spaces back in November 2020. I was lucky enough to be part of that. They can be started by anyone now with over 600 followers. It's a direct competitor to Clubhouse. I would argue it's better than Clubhouse because you can be on Twitter and share tweets while this is playing, like in a minimized tray at the bottom of the app, which is really cool because what most people are doing on Clubhouse is leaving Clubhouse and opening Twitter. And, reading tweets while talking on Clubhouse is now in one specific space. And you don't have to rebuild your followers. And you get to everybody who's on Twitter automatically sees you hanging out there. Now, it's not working on the web yet. It's not working on iPad. So there's a lot of growth left for Twitter Spaces. I think Twitter Spaces will have many more users than Clubhouse ultimately. Super Follows. This was announced on February 25th, and it's going to let users earn money from followers who pay them for exclusive content, e-commerce deals, or other perks. This will be kind of like Patreon. We actually shut our Patreon down recently because many of you didn't know about it. We're trying to get you to go over Patreon. Maybe we'll relaunch that. We'll see, but we'll probably relaunch that natively on Apple and Spotify, which are offering ad-free subscriptions, which I think 1% of you will probably take advantage of. But you never know. Maybe we'll do some content here. We generally don't like to charge our users. We have great advertisers and partners, so this isn't as relevant for us, but you could see it being relevant for the OnlyFans crowd or the Substack crowd or certain content that is not advertiser-friendly. And you could see other influencers making money from this. So the idea here would be you get subscriber-only newsletters, access to different communities that you wouldn't have access to, or deals and discounts, that kind of stuff. The standard cohort of things on Patreon. And this means you don't, again, have to leave Twitter. So if you want to hold a space, you want to do a newsletter, you want to have an audio space, a newsletter, a Patreon, you're basically building Substack, Patreon, and Spaces into Twitter, where your graph is and where everybody's spending time. And that really is going to make a difference because people switching apps is a cost. People having to download apps, having to create a Patreon account. This is all nonsense and takes too much time. If everything is in one app, it's much, much more like it is in China, where you have singular apps that have many features in them. YouTube added a premium membership you might have become aware of. So when you have on a lot of YouTube channels, you'll see subscribe and join. Join means you pay, subscribe means you get it for free. So again, Patreon, I'm short Patreon because why would anybody go start a Patreon if it's built in YouTubers? There's no reason to start a Patreon. And a podcaster now with Apple and Spotify offering subscriptions and with Twitter offering subscriptions, really, why would you even need to go there? And that's not a dig to Patreon. It's an interesting service and they obviously pioneered it, but it does show exactly, how your startup can become a feature of another one. Channels can add exclusive videos, members only content, yada, yada. Tip jar, I just turned this on. I just got an alert about it. I'm going to donate all my tips to charity. But this lets you connect your Twitter handle to things like the Cash App, which obviously Jack owns as part of Square, Patreon, PayPal, Venmo, Bandcamp, and some other services. And Twitter takes no cut, which is a really interesting concept. So they're undercutting other people. And I think the tip jar could become a really powerful concept. I watch a number of online YouTube live shows, Knicks Fan TV, Scott Adams, his morning show at 7 a.m. And I see people give $5, $10, $25 to these live streams. And then it's got a really neat thing. On YouTube, I recently gave a $50 tip to my friend CP of the franchise who does Knicks Fan TV because it's so entertaining. I just thought I'll just throw him $50 and he can buy a bottle of Chardonnay because after the Knicks game, I like to watch his post-game commentary. It's like by the fans, for the fans. So I give him the $50 and I didn't realize this, but my $50 tip with my name stayed up on the screen for 30 minutes, I think. And if you put like a $10 tip, it stays up for 10 minutes, $5 stays up for 5 minutes. You get the idea. So you kind of get this really nice recognition by doing this. Obviously, this exists in other places. And tipping, super big in China. Douyin is how it's pronounced, I believe, owned by ByteDance, collected $1.7 billion in tipping revenue in the first half of 2020, according to my notes here. Other services like Twitch have tipping for a long time. You all know that.